Good morning. My name is Donna Steffi, and I'm adjunct faculty with Lake Forest Graduate School of Management. I'm happy to be here today talking with you about the Heads Up communication program that we're doing. The purpose of the program is to talk about some basic communication skills, but to do it in a fun, interesting way. So part of what we've done is we've introduced Mr. Potato Head as our role model for good communication, and using all of the parts of who we are together to really communicate effectively with organizations. Lots of serious content in the program, lots of activities in the program as well, and I wanted to talk with you today just about a couple of those activities. So one of the first things that we do in order to examine what causes a breakdown of communication within organizations is something that we call the ball toss. And the rules are pretty simple. Our participants stand in a circle, one ball gets tossed out. You have to call out the person's name before you start the ball, and all you have to do is pass it to somebody else in the circle. The goal is for everybody to catch the ball at least once before anybody catches the ball twice. And there's only one other rule to that, and that is you can't pass it to the person next to you. You have to toss it. What's interesting about the activity is that it's timed, and the goal is to speed up the process of tossing these balls back and forth. What we then also do towards the end of the first round is introduce a couple of additional balls, and pretty soon what we have is lots of balls in the air and lots of balls dropping. The question as the activity really gets rolling is what causes communication breakdown? Is it the sender or the receiver of the information? And it's really clear that both parties have a responsibility when we talk about communication. So it's the sender and the receiver. We also ask the question, how is this like your real world? What causes the communication breakdown in your real world back at work? And they talk about the pace, they talk about the environmental noises, they talk about not knowing the skill levels of the people that they're passing and receiving information to. So it's a wonderful activity. But that's only the start of it. We do another activity we call back-to-back drawing. And what that activity is all about is that what we do is we have participants sit back-to-back, and one person is the director. And they have a card in their hand, and all they have to do is describe the picture on the card so that the participant behind them can draw the picture. Now in round one, there's one rule, and that is that it's one-way communication. The director gets to talk, and the listener can't say a word. It's funny, it's only a 2 or 3 minute exercise, but what people discover is that we have to be clearer in our communication. That when someone is describing the picture they see in their hand, they think they're so clear until they actually see what the other person has drawn. What we also realize is that one-way communication isn't very effective. The follow-up question is, when in your organization is there only one-way communication? And it always surprises me because usually the group can come up with 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 incidences at their place of work where there's one-way communication. In round 2, participants have an opportunity to draw a different picture, and this time there gets to be two-way communication. And two-way communication involves asking questions, paraphrasing what you hear, restating, asking people are they comfortable, do they understand, and then we really get into the hows of two-way good communication. So it's a wonderful activity. We follow up with one more, and this is called the listening coin toss activity, or coin pass, actually. And what we do in that activity is that the facilitator reads a one-page story. And every time the people in the circle hear the word right, they pass their coin to the right. And every time they hear the word left in the story, they pass their coin to the left. In this one-page story, the word right is mentioned many times, and the word left is mentioned just as many times. By the end of the activity, people don't know right from left, and coins are falling on the ground. There's a couple of questions we follow up with there. One is, who has more money than when we started and who has less? And the point is that not listening can cost an organization money. But the other point is that there are different listening positions that we need to take. Sometimes we need to be active listeners. Other times we need to be listeners that only focus on important information like right and left. But in the story, we mention someone who gets sick. And a follow-up question is, who got sick in the story? And I've got to tell you, from the dozens of times we've done this activity, nobody knows. Because we're not accustomed to using empathetic listening in the business world. And there's a lot of times when we need to. So the follow-up activity to that is to talk about listening positions and to talk about how, as good listeners, we have to be willing to flex into these different positions and to find out what goes on in their organization where they might need different listening positions. So that's just 3 of the activities that we do within the class. It's all around building our communication skills, and it's a wonderful program. Thank you.